Hello, and welcome to Module 7, the presentation for the Directed Project NPA 798 for Cure SMA. My name is Emily Leitzinger, and it is December 6th, 2023. So our fundraising goals for this year, which I chose to direct my consultation project for, was to create a $850,000 comprehensive campaign that would run between November 1st, 2023 and December 31st, 2023. I am a new staff person for Cure SMA, so I needed to balance my real-time responsibilities with the organization and also onboarding and learning and all the things with creating this directed project for LSUS. So we wanted to use direct mail, emails, social media, and individual solicitations as the channels. I report directly to the Chief Development Officer, Jamie Gibson, and I will be evaluating this consultation plan in real time with data, our KPIs, and um, just essentially how we're doing. We're throwing some spaghetti at the wall and we're seeing what meatballs stick. So just a quick background of SMA and the organization that I'm working with. So spinal muscular atrophy is a rare disease that affects the nerves and muscles. It's a degenerative disease, meaning that the muscles become increasingly weak. It does mostly affect infants and children, and some adults are diagnosed later in life if not caught at a newborn screen. So the organization has raised around $57 million in SMA research and was originally founded in 1984 as Families of SMA and rebranded in 2014 to unite under one vision to cure SMA. My strategic fundraising vision would be to move from a traditional event-based fundraising to create a robust individual giving strategy in pursuit of an $850,000 annual campaign, which will roll up to a larger $2.5 million initiative. So moving on. So again, to restate, the financial targets are $850 between November 1st and December 31st. And we need to really engage the community here and reflect the needs, the passion, and the mission within our marketing and solicitation materials. We'll be really focusing on stewardship since we do have some significant lapsed donors and making sure that everyone has their voices heard. Since advocacy is a regular and consistent need for the organization, we'll really be combining efforts around getting to that 100% of newborn screens, accessible transportation, treatment and research funding, and community support programs. So some of the strategies that I have developed for this plan are to utilize an array of solicitation techniques coming from things like direct mail and email, social media, and individual solicitation. Since I'm new to the organization and I don't have the relationships, I'm really going to have to lean on the marketing and communications teams to be the breadbasket of relationship management and solicitation at this time. As I develop those individual relationships, I can start to create some journey mapping for those donors in particular, but until then, it's going to be primarily digital. So, speaking of relationships, there are some strategic partnerships that I can lean on early, both internally and externally. We have strong relationships with family foundations and pharmaceutical companies, and then we also have a very strong board of directors and some key stakeholders like our Chairs Council. We also work closely with elected officials, and we have some significant tenure with our staff, our volunteer, and our donors. So I want to make sure that we're developing metrics and KPIs based on real-time fundraising best practices, looking at our average gifts, our median gifts, how many our gifts we're getting during any given time periods, particularly Giving Tuesday. I will regularly report to the CDO my findings and then use that data and analytics to inform decision making and enhance our strategy. Since this is such a strong community and their support has really guided this organization over the last 40 years, I need to continuously gather feedback and survey results from the community and our donors and provide robust support programs for the SMA affected individuals and families, like our Summit of Strength program, our community support network, and our conference in the summer, and make sure that we're cultivating that sense of community. So also leaning into existing events and campaigns like our Walk and Roll program, our Evening of Hopes, our Hope on the Hill, and our Capitol Hill event where we're advocating, spreading awareness, and bringing the community together. So we need to also be making sure that we're keeping those folks in mind that have SMA that aren't able to take any of the medications that we have available, particularly to newborns, and make sure that they know that they can contribute through a variety of channels, be it fundraising, be it spreading advocacy and awareness, being it just forwarding an email or sharing a social media post. And as we're building the campaign, we'll create some budgets and goals based on the data and the successes within the end of year campaign. We'll, of course, lean on those industry best practices and create that individual giving strategy based on personal donor outreach. Another really important thing to me is providing stewardship and impact promptly. I like to say, think before we beg. So let's move on. Okay, so fundraising plan and timeline. The 8-week calendar, which covers the 2 months, it'll include the direct mail, email, social media, and individual giving solicitations to raise that $850,000. Our Giving Tuesday goal had a single day goal of $40,000. We ended up raising close to $70,000 on that day because we used a diverse array of solicitation options and gave people a lot of opportunities to give in a myriad of different ways, be it online, sending us checks, ACH payments, their DAFs, plain giving, you name it. And we really tailored that approach based on donors' past giving history. So we started that plan back in October, and we did a weekly evaluation with the entire team. That's really my responsibility, but I worked closely with marketing communications, and that was reviewed by my boss, the CDO. So we also wanted to make sure that we had our key relationships in place with pharmaceutical companies, family foundations, and major donors, as those lead gifts would really help steer our campaign. So I leaned in on making sure that those relationships were my priorities. You know, the ROI on major giving relationships tends to help the entire rest of the campaign. Like I say, my name is Emily, Emily. Early money is like yeast, it grows. So making sure that those relationships were in place early on when I first started back in September, and then really using them to create the standard for the rest of our stewardship plan. And I worked with the rest of the development team, particularly the events managers, so that I knew who to talk to and when to talk to them and what their relationship was. So we also looked at real-time fundraising assessments and metrics from past email solicitations, what resonated with donors, and did some heat mapping based on click-throughs. This was really something I worked on in conjunction with the data and analytics team, and it was reviewed and approved by the Chief Development Officer. It was important for me to also solicit feedback and advice from the SMA community. We didn't want a lot of unsubscribes from our email lists, and we have a lot going on. And so, in order to really target our solicitations and cultivate inclusivity, we targeted some particular feedback around how often people wanted to hear from us and what they wanted to hear. So that's ongoing as we have some folks who are regularly reporting back to us and taking the temperature on our communications for us. So our individual giving strategy didn't really exist before I started. And so it was important for me to talk with our major donors at the time of, of starting, making sure that they felt like they were included in the plan and how building out a strategy so that we could ask for upgraded gifts and also what would excite our donors. We've increased our basic research funding from 500,000 to 750,000, and we've just recently released a report on the grants that we're going to be funding in 2024. A lot of these grants attract very savvy donors, and so we're excited to be able to bring them an opportunity to fund these projects. And that was really something that I'm working with the CDO on, but also our CEO and our VP of Development and Events. The most important part of all of this is really the evaluation section. So by reviewing our metrics and evaluating them in real time, we've been able to sort of workshop some challenges if we've overasked or if we've asked the wrong people. We caught early on that there had been a suppression email list where folks who had received more than 3 emails from us in a month were being suppressed from the list, and so they weren't getting our solicitation emails. We caught it very quickly, recognizing that if they had gotten the emails, we would have seen a jump in donations. But because they didn't get the emails, they weren't giving. So being able to quickly evaluate and then adjust in the campaign has been really successful for us. We'll be able to use that strategy as we roll up to our larger giving campaign. So moving on, lots and lots of communication, as you can imagine. And my chief development officer and I have a really strong relationship. She fosters a lot of collaboration and transparency, and that's part of the culture of the organization. So we have weekly check-ins between the two of us, but we really just ping each other when we need each other throughout the week. We also have some bi-monthly strategy meetings with the full team, and then I work with the marketing and communications team more often than that. I write a monthly review report for our CEO, which is reviewed by the CDO. And that's an opportunity for us to really analyze our KPIs, include that stakeholder feedback, and make any necessary adjustments. As I mentioned before, we did have a situation where the wrong people were getting the right emails or the right people were getting the wrong emails. So being able to quickly address that and then move past it has added to our overall success. And to date, we're about $20,000 over our fundraising total than we were at this time last year. We also use Asana, which is a project management platform, which allows us to calendar, to schedule, and to assign tasks across the team. And it's a great place where we can have a shared repository for important documents. And so folks know where everything is. There's also just casual conversations as we're building rapport in the team and we're building the team itself, just developing the relationships across different channels and feeling safe and comfortable to connect with people because we're all in it for the same mission and the same goal has been really successful for us. That's also helped when developing plans for the emergency communications. While the suppressed email list wasn't an emergency, if we had gotten to the point of Giving Tuesday and our emails had not been sent out or being reached to the right group of people, could have ended up being a catastrophe. So being able to understand how to best communicate with each other and make sure our communication is prompt in critical situations has been really, really successful. So we'll move on. So lots and lots of resources are utilized and needed for an organization like QRSMA to be successful during an end-of-year giving campaign. I was pleasantly surprised coming into an organization that has an overall annual budget of about $17 million. That is a national nonprofit, but is still relatively small as compared to a lot of other national nonprofits. That we do have some pretty robust and dynamic tools, including Asana, the project management software. We also use SharePoint, which allows us to share documents and resources internally. We have our CRM, which is Salesforce, which is a wonderful place to store data and create and evaluate progress. We also use things like Teams and emails and Outlook and Microsoft. But many of these systems existed before my tenure with QRSMA. Some other vendors like Greater Giving, Double the Donation, Donor Drive, and others. These are wonderful, large platforms that provides an opportunity to meet donors where they are and make the process for them seamless. We also use free platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and things like that. So we also spend a lot of time, effort, and energy making sure that our leadership and our fundraising expertise is in place. So professional development is a really important part of QRSMA. So finally, monitoring. So progress on implementation will be closely monitored through regular assessments of key performance indicators, feedback, and success tracking. We will need to learn that through real-time feedback from our donors, that's going to give us an eye on the fundraising dollars that come in and then what resonates with them, the stories that are shared, the timing of the emails, the pictures, the approach, etc. In that way, we can ensure continuous improvement throughout the execution of the plan. That, and then through donor stewardship, impact reporting, we can really duplicate this plan and use it to develop a successful and robust, larger campaign for the future. My supervisor has big, lofty dreams about a $4 million capital campaign here in the next few years, potentially even a larger capital campaign after that. And so I feel very strongly that the success of this early campaign will help us in the future. So in conclusion, my analysis of QRSMA through the leadership pillar revealed that mission-driven communication, where the internal staff are willing to make changes and adjust when needed to respond to data and less than desirable outcomes, is really the key. The opportunity to address challenges in real time, adjust and act with the data, and the new information will likely lead to a successful consultation plan and ultimately the end-of-year campaign. While the leadership pillar is still an ongoing development, QRSMA demonstrates dedication to understanding the employee landscape while working to expand staff resources. I'm really impressed with this organization just from its commitment to the mission and commitment to the community, but also its commitment to staff development and communication internally. So QRSMA has a strong leadership, strong strategic strategy, and it sees its board of directors and donors as investors in the mission and the organization. Its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion and keeping sight of what really matters while innovating with courage is impressive. I really love that the advocacy is integrated into strategic planning and fundraising, and that really shows that holistic approach. So, all in all, I can remain flexible while I create the plan and work concurrently towards the end of year fundraising goal. And I feel very successful so far in my tenure and my time with the QRSMA. With this directed project, I feel like I was able to organize myself a little bit better and really just dig into the different metrics that should be paid attention to. And I really feel like through both the directed project, the consultation plan, and creating this strategic plan in conjunction with my CDO means that we're just going to knock it out of the park. So I appreciate the opportunity. Here are the resources that we used for this project, and thank you so much. I am available if you have any questions.